If you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. With that being said, hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew, and today we're doing another figure comparison. Today we're doing a figure comparison between Godzilla Kong, the New Empire's two first release versions of Kong. From here and here we have the Beast Glove Kong from, well, obviously the 6-inch line, and the 11-inch Giant Kong with Beast Glove. And just for some classic recommendations, we're also going to throw in the Walmart exclusive Kong from the 2-pack set, which I'm now just noticing a little paint nick, or a little paint defect on mine. Yeah, this guy's definitely been through some battles, huh? Well, yeah, we've got 3 Kongs, obviously a very last minute addition, but essentially, we're just going to be kind of comparing these guys for fun. You know how the game is played. Sculpt and paint, articulation, size, accessories, price, availability, and packaging. And we're going to be primarily going through the works. So without further ado, let's get started. So first of all is sculpt and paint. And believe it or not, even though they all share, theoretically, technically speaking, all the same mold, they actually do have some differences. But first, let's start with this guy, the original. Here we have the original Kong with Beast Glove. Just thank you, camera. Original Kong with Beast Glove, and I've praised this figure before, and I'll praise it again. The detail work on this thing is phenomenal. We have all the fur details going down to the back, and it's very hard and rigid. We got some of the fur pattern on the face here. The eyes actually are not really painted all that well. Because they're looking off in 2 different directions, and it's like this on all freaking units. The teeth paint are done pretty decently. Mine's showing a bit more gum than it should be, but that's okay. We have a bit of a mild gray spray here on the face. More of a mild gray, more of like a thicker gray spray here on the chest, with some of the slashes that are not sculpted in, but painted. So we have like 3 slashes there and 3 slashes there. The 3 slashes going out across this way were there first, and then Godzilla, I think, pretty much slashed him like that, which is weird because he slashed him like, I think it was like 4 times in that one scene. And we also have like some spray on the feet and on the palms too. But again, it's not like overly thick amount of paint, it's just a spray of paint. Something that I'd also like to mention is the Beast Glove itself is a paint in more of like a vibrant yellow, and it also has a bit of like shine to it. We also have like the metallic labels of VT61 and HT42 on the sides, like that on both sides. We have a bit of like the paint coming down here. Then we have like the metal gear, which is really well painted. We have like this little I don't know what that is. It's like some sort of like strap. And then speaking of straps, you also have like this side, which nothing is painted here. Even like the gear, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. And again, gray spray right here for the palm. And again, like the detail work is just phenomenal. You also have like a lot of like the same kind of fur patterns here for the feet, and also pretty well smoothened out. It's kind of like a really well done thing, is like smoothened out where there's skin along with a gray spray, and then where it's brown, it's like very well detailed and very rigid as far as like the detail is concerned, which is weird because fur is not supposed to be rigid, it's supposed to be soft and fuzzy, but this is anything but soft and fuzzy. We also have like some additional sculpt work, which I know was Playmates is doing, because now we have like some extra sculpting like slash marks here. Not done like particularly the best. They're not painted. Maybe they're like meant to be like scarring, but we have some here and then some down here. I could be missing some, but I cannot find any others. Don't think there's any on the back. Yeah, because in the movie there's supposed to be like a scar here. That's not on this figure. I think it's on the either the High or the Monster X Kong, if I'm not mistaken. So that's the original. Let's talk about the Walmart exclusive Kong, which I think I just had a whole new hatred for, as far as like the paint goes, because it shares the exact same paint job, base paint job and sculpt as the original. The slash marks are still there. The mismatched eyes are still there. Mine's not showing as much gum on this one, thankfully, but it is still red, it's still brown, it's still gray, it's still orange eyes, pretty much all the works, and you got pretty much a paintless backside minus the Beast Glove, which you already saw. Just to say there's no differences between the two Kongs when it comes to the Beast Gloves. They're the exact same shade, although the quality of the paint may vary. But speaking of quality paint, let's talk about the yellow and the red. So we have more sprayed on yellow pecs, which are like on the top of the pecs. So you do get a bit of nice spray there. And it's meant to look like the lava coming down. We have some more of like the red paint on the chest, and then we have like a black line going down, so they completely painted over the scars. However, you can still tell that they're there because it's the base figure has, I can actually kind of see it. I can kind of see it. I don't know if it's picking up on camera, but you can kind of see 3 streaked lines. Yeah, I'm still finding out about this even after I got this thing, like, I think it was a month ago now? I could be wrong, but speaking of which, you have like a bit of a more yellow streak. Red streaks going down to the palms, here from the shoulder, here from the elbow, here from the shoulder. And we have like 2 red splotches here that kind of gives the impression that it is bleeding, but no, it's just lava. And here it's just kind of, well, obviously like that as well. And honestly, the paint itself isn't really done all that great because you can kind of see there's paint bubbles starting to burst. I don't remember if that was in my original review or not. I'm going to have to go look back. And even though the beard is well painted, as soon as you move the jaw, yeah, it's not really what the best painted. So creatively speaking, it has great color variety, but it doesn't really have the most amount of detail out there or quality of the paint. Also, when you start moving joints, it starts like cutting off the paint. So it's clear that they only this was like a last minute figure. They took versions of this guy, they already had it in the factory, and painted it and sent it off to Toho and Legendary for approval. So essentially, he's just him with new paint job. And the Giant Kong actually has a slightly more dull colored Beast Glove than the original. I don't know how well the camera is picking it up, but it's a lot less glossy and a bit more faded. And as far as like the brown is concerned, I want to say it's about the same, if not a tad bit darker. So pretty much everything is a bit more muted on the giant figure. But we do have better painted teeth. I mean, that's kind of to be expected. Same quality type of paint as far as like the spray is concerned. And at least the eyes are actually painted well this time. But something that's also of note is that because it's also a lot more of a detailed base figure that's scaled up, the detail actually manages to get itself a little bit better. And in some areas, it actually looks even better than just confined to a 6-inch figure. For example, the back. This actually looks pretty snazzy. Save for these screw holes, which again, I don't really care about screw holes because I grew up with kids' toys that didn't really have screw holes. In addition to extra paint being on the inside of here, because you can kind of see just for a little bit of a side-by-side now that we're here. That's where, see, like, look, no paint, tons of paint. And so they actually painted the gears. Finally, the inside gears managed to have their time to shine. And one last thing to point out is the spray on it seems a bit less tame because on the 6-inch figure, you can kind of see because like the spray doesn't really go onto the like first sides. On the giant, at least on my copy, you can kind of see that you can clearly see that it kind of oversprays a little bit. So even where there's fur, there's still a bit of spray. And it looks to be a lot lighter. Because, like, look at this. And then look at this. Like, that's a lot lighter of a color. And you have a bit of, like, mild paint chippage, but that could just be my copy again. Because These figures are unfortunately open boxed. I kind of wish they were closed boxed, but it makes sense. I mean, it'd be pretty expensive to fit a figure this size into a closed off thing. So, but again, as far as like the overall sculpt, it's pretty much the same. It's got better detailed nostrils at the very least. So, as far as like the overall general consensus as to like who has the better paint job and sculpt, I would say the quality of the sculpt, even though it does look better, like as far as like he probably has the best paint job, second, third. I say third because the extra paint is a bit tacked on, definitely last minute, and even though it looks cool, it's starting to burst. Like the bubbles are on my copy are starting to burst, which really kind of makes you wonder how long this thing will last until all the paint set offs. And then I'm just going to end up with two figures of the same variety. But maybe that's not what will happen. Well, whatever. But as far as like the sheer detail goes, I'm gonna have to give it to these two over him just because again, it looks better from a visual standpoint overall. But I can't help but overall just like these two's detail a bit more confined. But just again, that's my personal consensus. So, next category of comparison is articulation, which, believe it or not, we do have some mild differences. For the most part, it's the same, but they're engineered just a teensy bit different. So, first off, we're going to start with the original. The original has, well, the 6-inch version, none of them are really original because they all released around the same time, has a head swivel, basic head rotation, and go I think all the way around, but mine's like incredibly stiff. So as of right now, it's just back and forth. I can tell you can go 360 because yeah, you can kind of like push it. I don't want to like push it too badly. Also, you get that like horrid pink color, which just to confirm, no, it's not on that one. Because of like the gum stuff. It's not on a ball joint. I know it like looks like it, but it's just because I loosened up the swivel joint and it's just wiggling in there. So swivel joints here at the arm. Actually, we're gonna talk about this one. For this one, we can go up about that far, down about that far. Can rotate pretty much all the way around. Ow! That is the second time I've been hurt by a Playmates figure. If you're wondering, I accidentally rotated in the elbow and my middle finger skin got caught in the joint. That hurts. So yeah, you can rotate all the way around with that. For this elbow, you can kind of rotate in like that. Straighten out about that far. And can rotate pretty freely. Like this is actually kind of a fluid joint. I don't imagine this getting loose anytime soon. Swivel for the wrist. This arm, because it's the Beast Glove arm, it's a bit different. This one, you can rotate about this far up, so it's a little less... yeah, that's about its max. Down about that far. And you can rotate pretty much all the way around. Also noticing the segments details. And for this arm, you can bend in about this far, straighten out about this far, because you also have like the gears, and because of how it's widened, you do get a swivel, though the back part of the elbow, yeah, that's going to collide with the gears there that are molded, so you do get a rotation, but it's not really meant to move like that, and you also do not get any wrist swivels, so don't even try. Here, it looks like there's a joint cut. Nope, that's literally just a seam line to connect the pieces, keep that arm raised. Hips, we have swivel hinges. So let's actually put it from the side. So you can go up about that far with the hip, backwards about that far with the hip, and you can actually kind of rotate it up, and then you can kind of like swivel like this, so you can kind of get Kong to do the splits if you really want to, or you can get him sitting down. I think there's like that one set that comes with the throne that's in the Hollow Earth from the Godzilla vs. Kong movie line. I think, yeah, there is. So you can kind of make, if you wanted, you could actually buy that and put this Kong in there, even though that comes with the Kong, but that's like the older sculpt. So why would you want the older sculpt if you can buy the new sculpt? And the knee can bend in about that far, and it can bend out. Oh crap! Can bend outwards about that far, and there's no swivel. So that's basically all the posability. So yeah, that's basically everything. We're not gonna be talking about this guy because these two exactly the same as far as articulation. You might say the same for him, but surprisingly not. For articulation here, we have a. Let's actually pull this upward. Unlike the 6-inch versions, this guy actually has a ball joint here at the head, and how I know it is a ball joint is that it actually keeps its pose. Granted, it's not like a total mass amount of range of articulation, but it's still there, but you still get the swivel. And just to confirm, no, there's no like pink plastic underneath there, which is kind of a bummer. Although you do get that kind of like seam line of pink, so hey, I guess there is something. For this shoulder, we have swivel hinge that can go up about that far, down about that far, and can rotate all the way around. This is where it kind of gets also a little different, because I don't know if I mentioned this in my original review. You do get the elbow bend here, which you can bend in about that far, straighten out about that far, so a little less range, and also there's no rotation here. So all of that is locked in there. You can kind of tell because of that seam line. This shoulder, you can get Kong's arm to go up about that far, down about that far, and can rotate inside the socket like that. So nice movement there. This elbow, you can straighten out about, sorry, you can bend in about that far, bend in about that far, and can rotate. And the wrist, you can also rotate. No seam line here, so thankfully there's no mistaking any hip movement here. However, sorry, waist movement. But speaking of hip movement, let's move Kong's shoulders. You can move the legs up about that far, backwards about that far, and can swivel and do the same thing you can do with the other one. Difference is there's going to be screw holes on the insides, and for this knee, you can go bend in about that far and straighten out about that far. So realistically, the giant figure is essentially a scaled up version, articulation wise, to the 6-inch versions. Let's putting the camera back in the standard frame here. There we go. And even though, like, again, there are some minor retoolings, like the engineering on the articulation's done differently with screw holes rather than just little hinges or just standard little hinges. And there's a ball joint here at the head rather than just space swivels. And this whole shoulder swivel is locked. So there's no swivel here, but there are swivels here. So primarily, plus the shoulders I feel have a tad bit less range on these rather than these, because those feel a little bit more freed up, but overall, they're basically spitting images of each other. Size is pretty much self-explanatory. These are your basic 6-inch figures that'll scale well with any of your 6-inch action figures. And this is an 11-inch, which I feel like pretty much scales anything you have that's 11-inch. Maybe not scales, but pretty well. Accessories. The giant one comes with nothing. The Beast Glove, even though it's with Beast Glove, it's not really with Beast Glove because the Beast Glove is already molded onto the figure, so it's not really an accessory. But what is an accessory is the smaller Kongs come with their own individual little heaves that I feel like work better with the giant than they do with the little Kongs, just because, like, scale-wise, this looks more appropriate than this, because the average human would probably be like around, I'm probably even putting it lightly, like maybe around this height compared to Kong. And even like as far as like the overall size of the heave, this just seems like more size appropriate, because remember that one scene in GVK where he takes the heave, a more or less refined heave, and just, so yeah, that seems a bit more size accurate. But yeah, on their own, they are fine. Also, it is worth noting that this guy technically came with more because he came with an alternate Skar King. He came with some punch outs, like lava falls, and some crystals. But I'm not counting those as those are part of the set rather than an accessory exclusive to Kong. So yeah, you can use those, count them as accessories if you want, but I'm not. And just to get this last part out of the way, all of the Kongs can hold the heaves so as long as you flip them upside down and put them at their tip like that. And if you lift this guy's arm and boom, you have it in his hand. Now, I was not expecting him to fall, but whatever. But yeah, that's essentially the accessories. Next, we're gonna go over price, and pretty much speaking, he's $10, he's $25 with the full set, and he's $25 on his own. Now, it should be worth noting that technically speaking, yes, it does depend on which country you live in, and things like if you order them online, then they could be a bit pricier. Then you also got to convert taxes and shipping and all that stuff. But I'm purely going off of United States currency retail price at Walmart. That being said, $10, $25, $25. Which kind of also brings into availability, which is these two are technically mass released. He is a Walmart exclusive. Not a very good exclusive, but kind of a fun one at that, I'll admit. So really, you can only find this guy at Walmart, these guys at all major retailers. Unless like maybe some comic shop is also stocking these things, because I've also seen a few of them also have these things to stock. And the last part I also want to segue in is to the packaging, which thankfully this is one of the rare occurrences where I actually have all the boxes that were used or I had these things in. So first we're going to actually start with the exclusive, which was essentially just this big Kong Skar King, very closed box, very artsy. I don't want to make this a box showcase episode, but just kind of like show you guys like the arts and such. That's basically what it is. Just this big closed box with everything inside, all the contents. Very fancy image of Skar King and Kong. There you go. We totally missed that. So that's fun. A lot of fun. And let me go get the other two boxes. So here's the 6-inch box and here's the 11-inch box. And what I will say is that, like, while I have both boxes here, I kind of like this box a bit more just because, for one, it's a lot more structurally sound. And even though both use the stupid little ropes, this only used the ropes. Like the little string rope things. This actually used like the little clip things that actually feel a bit more secure. Especially the fact that it's open box. But that also being said, oh man, this tray is just a mess. Yeah, this thing is like totally beyond repair. But overall, graphically, they look good. And I'm honestly gonna have to say the exclusive, in my opinion, just has the best box because I like closed off boxes with the plastic you can see through versus open boxes like these. And so to wrap up this whole video, I have to honestly say that my personal favorite of the bunch has to actually be this guy. This guy's awesome, and I love my giant figures. This guy's cool because of his paint job, but also kind of sucks because of his paint job. This guy kind of satisfies everything I want from a 2024 Kong. Granted, it's not the highest quality, and granted, it's not the best quality, but it's honestly really fun, and it's probably the one I have the most fun fiddling with the most. And honestly, it just has the great weight, it's got a great size. I kind of like just 6-inch figures more than 11-inch figures. Not a fault of this guy in any way, just my personal preference. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to personal preference. Maybe you prefer this over this. Maybe you prefer this over these two. But you know what? With that being said, I feel like the real winner is you because you get to choose between these 3 Kong figures and more like NECA, Mezco, Monster Arts, Haya, and all the other ones that are released throughout the years. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you guys liked it, definitely subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, everyone.